Hello student, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video of lecture number 2, Laws of Motion, we will discuss on topic linear momentum, then we will go to second law of Newton's. So let's quick revise what we have discussed in first lecture. So in first video, we discussed about inertia and Newton's first law of motion. So what is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion, forces are balanced. Forces are balanced. Right? Means object is at rest. Object at rest. When object at rest, in this case, v is 0. Velocity is 0. If v is 0, acceleration is 0. Means if object is at rest, it stay at rest. Right? And object is moving with uniform motion. In uniform motion, object in uniform motion. In uniform motion, velocity is constant. In uniform motion, object move with same speed and same direction. So in that case, in this case, v is not equal to 0, but it is constant. So acceleration is 0. Right? So Newton's first law says that when object at rest tends to stay at rest and an object in motion tends to stay in motion with same speed in same direction unless it is compelled by some external unbalanced force to change that state. Right? So Newton's first law provides the qualitative definition of force, which means push or pull. To change the position of the object, either we have to push that object or pull that. Okay? So let's come to the topic momentum. What is momentum? Momentum is the quantity of motion in a body and it depends on mass and velocity. Right? Means momentum can be defined as the mass in motion along a straight line. All objects have mass, so if an object is moving, then it has momentum. That is, it has its mass in motion. Right? So the amount of momentum that an object has depends on two factors. Right? Amount of momentum that an object has, it depends on two factors. First is how much mass is moving. How much mass is moving. And the second factor is how fast it is moving. How fast it is moving. Right? So when, in other words, these two variables are mass of the body and its velocity. Numerically, it is defined as the product of mass of a body and velocity of a body is called the momentum of the body. Right? Product of mass and its velocity. So momentum is equal to mass into velocity, right? It is denoted by P. P equal to m into v, where P is momentum, m is mass of the object and v is velocity. Since momentum is a vector quantity, which means it has both direction and magnitude. So momentum in vector form is represented by this P vector equal to M into V vector. Right? So from these, we found that momentum is directly proportional to mass. Let's take an example. If a cricket ball and a tennis ball with same velocity of cricket ball and tennis ball are same, but their masses are different. So according to this example, if cricket ball and tennis ball move with same velocity, momentum of cricket ball is more because its mass is larger than that of tennis ball, right? Mass of cricket ball is larger than mass of tennis ball. So consider velocity of these two balls are same. Mass of cricket ball is m1 and mass of tennis ball is m2. Right? Here m1 mass of cricket ball is greater than mass of tennis ball. Right? These two balls are moving with same velocity. So momentum in cricket ball P1 equal to m1 into V, and momentum in second ball tennis ball is m2 into V, right? m2 into V. So from these two equations we have P1 upon P2 equal to m1 upon m2. Means momentum is directly proportional to mass. Object which has larger mass have the larger momentum. So I hope this point is clear to you. Second point, momentum is directly proportional to velocity. From this, two cricket ball move with different velocities, then the momentum of the ball with greater velocity possesses more momentum. Right? Means in this case, the mass of two objects are same, but their velocity are different. So the momentum of the ball with greater velocity possesses more momentum. Right? So let's solve this problem. Mass of two balls is m1 is equal to m2 equal to m, right? And velocity of first ball is v1 and second ball is v2. Okay. Momentum of first ball p1 equal to m into v1 and momentum of second ball equal to m into v2. So from these two equations, P1 upon P2 equal to V1 upon V2. From this we see that P is directly proportional to V. Means momentum of velocity of larger, the object of larger velocity has large momentum, right? If a body is at rest, its velocity is 0, right? And hence its momentum is 0. But every moving body possesses momentum. Momentum is a vector quantity, as I told you, since it has direction and magnitude. Its SI unit is kilogram into meter per second. And CGS unit of momentum is gram into centimeter per second, right? Now let's talk about importance of momentum for considering the effect of force on motion. Let's take first example. Suppose a light vehicle say car, and a heavy vehicle say truck. Car and truck are parked on a horizontal road, right? So we see that greater force is required to push the truck than the car to bring them to the same speed in same time. Right? means to car and truck. Here this is car and this is truck. These car and truck are parked on a horizontal road. Now we want to bring them in same speed v. So in which condition we have to apply more force to bring the same speed v? For car we need to apply small force and for truck we need to apply more force. Similarly, a greater opposing force is required to stop the truck than the car if they are moving with the same speed. Since mass of truck is greater than mass of the car, right? And bullet fired by a gun can easily pierce human tissue before it stops, resulting in casualty. The same bullet with moderate speed will not cause much damage, right? So the object which has more speed apply more force. Thus for a given mass, the greater the speed, the greater is opposing force needed to stop the body in a certain time. So the same force for the same time causes the same change in momentum in different bodies. Right? So the force not only depends on the change in momentum, it also on how fast the change in is brought. Means the greater the rate of change of momentum, greater is the force. I hope these points are clear to you. Let's see in this example. In this example, we will discuss about momentum is a vector quantity. In the above example, we see that the examples do not indicate that momentum is a vector. But in this example, we see that momentum is a vector quantity. Let's see. Suppose a stone is whirled with uniform speed in a horizontal circle with the means of string. Let's see. Right? The magnitude of momentum is constant. In this case, since speed is constant, mass and velocity is constant. Right? Magnitude of momentum is constant, but direction keeps changing continuously. We see that direction of this changing continuously. So force is needed to change this momentum vector, right? The force is provided by hand through the string and it is also felt by hand. So I hope this example is clear to you. Let's come to the Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion says the rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force and takes place in the direction in which force acts. So according to this, force is directly proportional to change in momentum upon time taken. If force F changes the velocity of a body of mass m from v to v plus delta v, then its initial momentum is m into v will change by delta p equal to m into delta v. Okay, here initial velocity is m into v, initial momentum is m into v. Okay, and final momentum, its velocity change v to delta v. Final momentum is v plus delta v. Now change in momentum delta p is given by pf minus pi. So from this equation mv plus m delta v minus m into v. mv cancel. So delta p equal to m into delta v. Right? According to Newton's second law, F is directly proportional to delta P over delta T, or we can write this equation as F equal to K delta P over delta T, where K is proportionality constant, or F vector equal to K limit delta T tends to 0 delta P over delta T, and this quantity can be written as dP over dt. So F vector equal to K dP over dt, right? F equal to K d over dt and P equal to m into V, or F equal to K, m is constant m, and dV over dt. dV over dt is acceleration. F equal to K m into A. So if 1 Newton force applied on a body of mass 1 kilogram produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square on a body, then K equal to 1. So F equal to m into A, force equal to mass into acceleration. From this equation, acceleration is given F A equal to F upon m. The acceleration of a body is directly proportional to the force acting on it and inversely proportional to the mass of a body. Right? Force is a vector quantity. Force can cause acceleration or deceleration. That is, accelerator of a car accelerate it and brakes deaccelerate. As a unit of force is Newton. 1 Newton is defined as that force which, when acting on a body of mass 1 kilogram, produce an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in it. So place an 100 gram on your outstretched palm. The force you feel is nearly 1 Newton. Right? Let's see in this. This is 1 Newton force. Some important points about the second law. In the second law, F equal to 0 implies A equals to 0. This is obviously consistent with the first law. Means in second law, if applied force is 0, if F equal to 0. So F equal to 0, F equal to m into A equal to 0. This is obviously consistent with the first law. The second law is a vector law. It is equivalent to 3 equations, one for each component of vector. Fx equal to dpx over dt equal to m into ax. Force in y direction, Fy equal to dpy over dt equal to m into ay. Fz equal to dpz over dt m into equal to m into az. This means that if a force is not parallel to the velocity of the body but makes some angles with it, it changes only the component of velocity along the direction of the force. The component of velocity normal to the force remain unchanged. That is, for example, in the motion of projectile under the vertical gravitation force, the horizontal component of the velocity remain unchanged. We have discussed about that in projectile motion chapter, right? The equation F equal to dp upon dt m into A is applicable to a single point particle. However, it is same for a rigid body or even more generally to a system of particles. In this case, m refers to the mass of a rigid body or total mass of the system of particle, and refers to the acceleration of a center of mass of the system. Any internal forces in the system are not included in F. Fourth point, the second law is a local relation, which means that F at a point in space at a certain instant of time is related to A at that point at that instant. Acceleration here and now is determined by the force here and now, not by any history of the motion of the particle. Let's talk about impulse. When a ball hits a wall and bounces back, the force on a ball by the walls acts for a very small time. when the two are in contact, yet the force is large enough to reverse the momentum on the ball. So impulse is equal to force into delta T, right? Impulse is equal to, it is noted by I equal to F into delta T, right? F is large is magnitude and delta T is small. So it was something about Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law gives the quantitative idea of force, which means F equal to m into A, and first law gives qualitative idea of the force. So in next video we will learn about Newton's third law of motion. Thank you.